Shocking betrayal. Bai Lu's mother accuses Zhang Linghe of hiding the truth about the crash. The hospital corridors had been filled with nothing but the sound of hurried footsteps, low murmurs, and the persistent beeping of machines. For weeks, fans around the world had been holding their breath, following every update about Bai Lu's terrifying car crash. She had barely survived, clinging to life with tubes and wires attached to her fragile frame. And though hope had begun to flicker as whispers of her improving condition surfaced, the chaos outside her room was reaching a breaking point. At the center of it all stood Zhang Linghe, the man who was supposed to be her safe haven. But now, as accusations flew, his image was turning from savior to suspect. The most shocking moment came when Bai Lu's mother, her eyes swollen from sleepless nights and endless tears, stood tall in the hospital hallway and leveled her gaze directly at him. What she said next shattered everything. "You're hiding something from us, Lingha. Something about the crash. Tell me the truth, what really happened that night?" The words didn't just echo through the hallway, they ripped it apart. Reporters stationed outside gasped audibly, cameras clicked like gunfire, and even hospital staff froze in place. It wasn't just an accusation, it was an outright declaration of betrayal. The atmosphere turns heavy. Zhang Linghe stood motionless, his usually composed face clouded with an unreadable storm. He tried to remain calm, but his fists clenched tightly at his sides betrayed his emotions. He had been the one rushing Bai Lu to the hospital, the one holding her hand as she drifted in and out of consciousness. He had stayed at her bedside, whispering words only she could hear. And yet, her mother's voice cut through all of that. "Do you think I don't notice?" she continued, her voice breaking, both with fury and heartbreak. "Every time someone asks what happened, you hesitate. Every time the topic comes up, you dodge. What are you hiding from us?" Fans online immediately picked up the exchange through leaked videos. Within minutes, hashtags began trending worldwide. #Zhang Linghe Truth. #Bai Lu Car Crash Mystery. #Mother vs Linghe. The world was watching, and every blink, every pause, every sigh became evidence in the court of public opinion. A mother's fury. Bai Lu's mother had always been protective, but this was different. She had endured the terrifying late-night phone call informing her of the crash, rushed to the hospital only to see her daughter pale and broken, and had been forced to watch helplessly as machines kept her alive. Now, with her daughter slowly recovering, her instincts were screaming louder than ever. Something wasn't adding up. She stepped closer, her finger trembling but pointed directly at Zhang Linghe. "Were you driving that night? Or were you with her when it happened? Don't you dare lie to me, Linghe. I deserve to know the truth. Escalating deserves to know the truth." Gasps filled the corridor. For the first time, the unthinkable had been spoken aloud. Had Zhang Linghe been more involved in the crash than anyone realized? Zhang Linghe finally speaks. After a long, suffocating silence, Zhang Linghe finally spoke. His voice was low, almost pained, but carried enough strength to hush the murmurs. "Auntie, I swear to you, I would never harm Bai Lu. I love her. That night, it wasn't supposed to happen like this." But his vague statement only fueled more suspicion. What wasn't supposed to happen? Bai Lu's mother snapped, stepping even closer, her voice sharp enough to cut through steel. "Stop hiding behind empty word. My daughter almost died. What are you protecting? Yourself? Or someone else?" The words landed like daggers. And for the first time, Zhang Linghe's eyes flickered with something: fear, guilt, sorrow. The crowd couldn't tell. But whatever it was enough to ignite the firestorm. The crowd erupts. Fans outside the hospital lost their composure. "Does this mean he's guilty?" someone shouted. "Is he covering up for another driver?" others speculated. "What if he was in the car with her?" Theories exploded online within minutes. Some claimed Zhang Linghe had been the one behind the wheel, while others argued he might have been protecting another celebrity or friend. The mystery grew darker by the second. An unexpected witness. Just when the confrontation seemed unbearable, another figure appeared: Bai Lu's brother. His face was grim, his jaw clenched. Without hesitation, he stood by his mother's side and glared at Zhang Linghe. "If you care about my sister, then prove it. Tell us everything. No more secrets. Zhang Linghe's lips parted, his voice trembling now. I can't, not yet. If I speak, it will ruin more lives than you can imagine. The hallway fell silent again. His cryptic confession only made things worse. Bai Lu's mother breaks down. The strength that had carried Bai Lu's mother finally cracked. Tears spilled down her face as she pressed her palms against her chest, her voice trembling. Do you realize what you're saying? You'd rather protect someone else while my daughter lies in that bed fighting for her life. After everything she gave you, everything she risked for you. Her sobs filled the space, breaking even the hardest hearts. Nurses rushed to her side, but she pushed them away, her eyes never leaving Zhang Linghe. You betrayed her. You betrayed all of us. The whispers inside the room. Unbeknownst to the heated crowd outside, Bai Lu stirred in her hospital bed. Her fingers twitched, her eyes fluttered, but she couldn't speak. Yet through the muffled walls, the rising tension seeped into her consciousness. In her semi-awake state, she could hear fragments of voices, her mother's sobs, Lingha's heavy tone. And then, as a tear slid down her cheek, her lips moved faintly, whispering one word no one else could hear. Linghe. Was it a call of trust or the beginning of heartbreak? The internet reacts. Within hours, social media was in complete meltdown. Fans were divided into camps. Team Linghe, those who believed he was hiding the truth to protect Bai Lu herself or shield her from greater pain. Team Mother, those who sided with Bai Lu's mother, believing no secret should come before her daughter's life and dignity. Memes, emotional edits, and conspiracy theories flooded every platform. The hospital itself had to double security, as crowds threatened to storm the entrance demanding answers. A storm yet to come. As night fell, Zhang Linghe was left standing in the cold corridor, his shoulders heavy, his face pale. Bai Lu's mother and brother had retreated into her room, shutting him out completely. But the unanswered question hung heavier than ever. What truth was Zhang Linghe hiding? And why was he willing to risk everything, including Bai Lu's love, to keep it buried? One thing was clear, the betrayal wasn't just shocking. It was catastrophic. And the storm was only beginning. Shocking betrayal. The hallway showdown continues. The hallway outside Bai Lu's hospital room had become a war zone, not of fists but of words razor-sharp, cutting deeper than any blade. Zhang Linghe stood rooted in place, his entire world collapsing in slow motion as Bai Lu's mother's accusation echoed. You're hiding something about the crash. For a moment, the fluorescent lights above flickered, as if even the hospital itself couldn't handle the storm brewing within its walls. Cameras clicked furiously, every angle of Zhang Linghe's face was captured, his jawline tight with restraint, his eyes clouded with something no one could decode. The press lunges in. Just as Bai Lu's mother's trembling words pierced the air, reporters shoved their microphones forward, ignoring the frantic shouts of hospital security. Linghe, were you driving the night of the crash? Why haven't you spoken publicly? Is Bai Lu's mother telling the truth? The barrage was relentless. Zhang Linghe lifted a hand to shield himself, but the lights, the flashes, the chaos, it was overwhelming. Enough. Bai Lu's brother roared, stepping forward to block the cameras. His protective stance drew a cheer from onlookers, but it didn't stop the questions. A mother unleashed. Bai Lu's mother, trembling from exhaustion and grief, found a terrifying strength in her voice. She pushed past the reporters and planted herself squarely in front of Zhang Linghe. I don't care what the world thinks of me. I don't care if they call me cruel or ungrateful. My daughter almost died, Linghe. And you, her supposed protector, you keep dodging the truth. If you won't tell us, then maybe you don't belong here. Her words cut like shards of glass. A wave of gasps rolled down the hallway. Some nurses covered their mouths, unable to process the brutality of the scene. Zhang Linghe's lips parted as though to answer, but no words came. Instead, his silence became its own damning testimony. Zhang Linghe's silence. Every second of silence was broadcast online, replayed, dissected. He looks guilty. No, he looks broken, like he's protecting her. Why won't he just say something? The comments flew like sparks on dry wood, igniting wildfires of speculation. Bai Lu's brother stepped closer, his tone deadly calm but dripping with rage. I'll ask one last time, Lingha. Were you there? Were you with her when she crashed? The entire hallway froze, breaths held, as Zhang Linghe lifted his eyes. They were red, bloodshot, but filled with something deeper, desperation. I can't answer that. The crowd exploded. Chaos erupts. Bailu's mother staggered back as if struck. You can't answer? Her voice cracked under the weight of disbelief. Then you've answered enough. Cameras flashed brighter, shouts grew louder, and fans outside screamed into the night. Some cried out in anger, others in heartbreak, but all of them wanted one thing, the truth. Inside Bailu's room, faint movements stirred. Though still weak, her fragile body trembled as muffled voices slipped through the door. Even half-conscious, she could feel the storm raging outside her sanctuary. The security intervention. Finally, overwhelmed by the chaos, the hospital called in reinforcements. Security guards surged into the hallway, forming a protective barrier between Zhang Linghe and the raging press. Everyone back, one guard barked, pushing cameras aside. But the cameras didn't stop rolling, the footage of Zhang Linghe being shielded as though he were a criminal spread like wildfire. Bailu's mother clutched her chest, tears pouring down her cheeks, as she spat her final words before retreating into her daughter's room. Until you tell me the truth, Linghe, you are not welcome near my daughter. The door slammed shut with a finality that echoed louder than any scream. Zhang Linghe's breakdown. The second the door closed, Zhang Linghe crumbled. His knees buckled, and he leaned against the cold hospital wall, his breath shallow, ragged. The cameras caught everything, the way his hands trembled, the way his lips quivered as if forming words he couldn't say. A nurse whispered to another, "He looks like a man carrying the world on his shoulders." But the public didn't see sorrow, they saw suspicion. Headlines lit up instantly. Zhang Linghe refuses to answer key question, what is he hiding? Bailu's mother shuts him out of hospital room. Truth or betrayal? The Linghe silence that shook the nation. A desperate confession to himself. Later that night, when the hallways quieted and the press had been ushered out, Zhang Linghe sat alone on a hospital bench. His face buried in his hands, he whispered to himself words no one else could hear. If I tell them, it won't just destroy me. It'll destroy her too. His voice cracked. Tears slid down his cheeks. He pulled out his phone, staring at Bailu's smiling picture on the lock screen, his thumb hovering over her face as if touching her would make her wake up and absolve him of this unbearable burden. I can't lose you, Lu. But I can't lose myself either. The fans turn on him. Meanwhile, outside the hospital, the crowd of fans had split into factions. Some screamed angrily at banners with his name, tearing them down. Others clutched photos of him and Bailu together, crying as they begged the universe for the truth. Online, the division was even more brutal. Videos of Bailu's mother accusing him had racked up millions of views, and every second of his silence was slowed down, analyzed, interpreted. His eyes gave it away. He hesitated when she asked about being in the car, his hiding something big. But still, a loyal few defended him. He loves her. You can see it in his face. His keeping quiet for her sake, not his own. The debate became war. The unseen moment. Back inside, Bailu stirred again in her hospital bed. Her lips moved faintly, whispering a name. This time a nurse leaned closer and caught it. Lingha. The nurse froze, eyes wide. She glanced at the door, then at Bailu's pale face. Should she tell him? Should she risk the wrath of Bailu's mother and brother? As Bailu's fingers twitched, the tension doubled. The woman everyone fought over had spoken, and even in her weakened state, her voice was calling for him.